Hello, everyone, and happy third day of Black History Month. Shout out to all of those celebrating our past, our current, and our future. But on that note, I wanted to come and make a video, which is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while because of some of the things that I see in education every day. Because this is year 7 for me. And throughout those 7 years, I've learned a lot about myself, about students, and about people in general. But I want to be very poignant in what I want the message to be about right now. So I come to school today, and my first class is multicultural literature. Talk about all different types of culture and the wonderful writings and works that come from different parts of the world. It's a great class. But today being the first day we came back for it, with it being in Black History Month, I say to the students now, just to give you demographic wise, my whole class for this particular class are all African-American students. And so I say to them, hey, it's Black History Month, hey. And they're like, blink, 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 blink. And I'm like, oh, nobody is excited except me. They just again, blink. Blink, 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 blink. Okay. So I said, all right, show of hands. How many of you do not care that it's Black History Month? Oh, there's a hand. There's a hand. Oh, they're actually raising their hand. And so it wasn't everybody. And then I said, okay, how many of you care that it's Black History Month? Got a couple hands. Still not all participating at this point. I said, so some of you didn't raise your hands. That means some of you kind of care and don't care. Somebody explain to me what that looks like. How do you care and not care in the same realm? Like, how does that work? And then I began to get answers like, oh, well, it's not that I don't care. It's just like, it's old and it really don't have nothing to do with me. Okay. I said, okay. Then another student proceeds to say, well, like, it's already over. Like, the stuff that, they had to fight and they had to do things and pave the way, but I mean, it's not like that no more, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So the inside of my body is probably at about 700 degrees Fahrenheit. I should be on the floor, but I'm trying to keep a cool composure in front of my students. So I said, okay, you know what? Since slavery was good, like slavery was excellent. It was successful. And they began to look at me a little perplexed at this point. And I said, no, seriously. Like, it worked. Because the powers that be that decided that you weren't good enough just based off of what you look like, literally based off of what you look like, not the content of your character, but your appearance and your skin color. They said, you know what? We'll give them all these rules, restrictions, keep them out of financial institutions, keep them away from owning things. And definitely, number one, let's not give them an equal education. So, ancestrally, they said, no, we're not having it. And we're going to fight for the opportunity to be equal. But they found a way, even after all that fighting, the past history, the stuff that doesn't matter anymore. They have still found a way to get you to think, oh, everything's fine now. That doesn't really apply to me. So you go from generations of people fighting, dying to be educated to now where I have to sit here and put on a dog and pony show to convince you that learning is important. How? How did we get here? How did we get here? And the conversation progressed and, the students, added in more of their comments, really more of the same about, we go to school and school's just not they don't teach us anything. And then the victim came out of them. The teachers do this, the principals do that, right? So then that conversation started. So at that point I go, there is such a disconnect. I said, do you know who came up with the concept of Negro History Week? Martin Luther King. Mind you, these are 17, 18-year-olds I'm talking to at this point. Nope. Malcolm X. Nope. They don't even know why. Or better yet, they don't know who even wanted to push this as an idea to learn about the history. The historian Carter G. Woodson that wanted to tell the world, like, this is the history that we share, and Black history is American history. There really isn't a distinction. But since it was at the time, it was important to tell the stories of those who were untold. So my body temperature is starting to calm down because I've realized at this point, this is not something that happened yesterday for them. This is not something that happened over the last week. This has been something that has happened over the last 17, 18 years of their lives. And it plays into a bigger narrative, okay? Because now this is where I step on toes. You cannot give what you yourself don't have, okay? So if your parents were not pushing these concepts and informing you of these things, how are you going to get them? Oh, wait, is the school's job? Is the school's job to teach you about you? Okay, so even if that were true, okay, then why don't we have more parents involved in making sure that the education that students are receiving are beneficial culturally? We don't have that. We don't have that. So either you didn't get it at home and you don't push for it to be at school. So where do we end up? I tell you where we end up. We end up with students who think that Martin Luther King created Black History Month. That's what we get. That's where we end up. Okay? So I guess the point of my message is that cultural history starts in the household. And to be ignorant in 2020 is a shame. Why? Because there's free Wi-Fi all over the place. You can get information. You can get information anywhere you want to get information. So now we're just being willfully ignorant. I think that's worse. I think that's the worst possible thing we can do. You are creating more generations of children who don't value themselves. So you're leaving it up to the schools, television, media, Facebook, to educate your children on who they are. And then we wake up and wonder why they're surrounded with foolishness. Why they can't function in the world. Because we allowed media to raise our children. And don't think I'm coming from a very judgmental standpoint. I have 2 children, and I do understand what it feels like to be completely tired and worn out. And you hear mommy, 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 mommy a million times. Can I have your phone? Can I go? Take it. Take the phone. Take it over there. Take it over there somewhere. So I get the feeling. So don't think that I'm coming to judge or to shame anyone. What I'm here to do is to say, yes, though I understand those feelings, I also understand that when my children go to bed at night, before they go to bed, we are reading. That I make sure that the phones on my games have some type of educational content to them. That I make sure the shows that they watch have some type of educational content to them. That I make sure that the music that they listen to is not exploiting their minds to think that negative behaviors are okay. That's my job to do. And I can't be putting more work and more effort in someone else's job in teaching and in education than I am in raising my own children. We all want to say things like, oh, it's for the culture, and, or, we're black, black people are victims, and sometimes we come after ourselves just by the daily decisions that we make with our children. There is a problem when your elementary student cannot distinguish the differences between the letters in the alphabet, but know all the words to a Kodak Black song. I'm confused. That's not the child's fault. The child is only doing what they're allowed to do. That's a parenting issue. That's a guardianship issue. That's a community issue. It makes no sense. While we are having children, African American children, get to school and you don't know your letters. You can't count past 5. But they can show you how to whip and nay. I'm confused. What are we doing? I have teenagers that can tell you every piece of slandering gossip from reality TV shows, but they don't know the difference between Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois. Help me understand. We're allowing, as a culture, for our children to be hijacked by negative stereotypes that they are going to eventually self-fulfill, because we, from a young age, the medium is telling them who they are. And while we sit back and think stuff is cute, or, oh, look at little Tay-Tay. Look, he over there shooting a bird. That's not cute. It's not cute at all. Because they walk into the classroom and then they get surpassed by their counterparts. And now you have an over-representation in special ed programs when those children didn't need those services. They didn't need those services at all. They don't have learning disabilities. Nobody taught them. Nobody pushed them. Nobody made it important to them. So I'm confused, because recently I'm on Facebook and I'm seeing a lot of people making very passionate comments about sports. And I'll just leave it very general like that, about sports. But a couple months ago, when we had a community meeting about the school system, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll be generous and say 15 parents. But there's 1,000 comments about a sport change, about personnel changes. I'm just trying to understand what we're doing. And I think during this month, maybe we can all take up an opportunity to really have some tough conversations. Because it's easy to blame other people. It's easy to say that somebody is holding us down. That's easy. But what are we to do when we have to stop and realize that we handcuffed ourselves in a lot of situations? You may not know something, that's fine, but find the information out. African proverbs, it is not shameful to not know. It's shameful to not want to know. That is where the issue lies. And if we do not center education in our households, I don't care what school system you send them to, they won't be prepared. Education is first the job of the family. Point blank, period. And I'm just calling on specifically African American families during this month to rethink how we're approaching education. How do you know the football coach's name but you don't know the name of your students' 4 teachers in high school? Why haven't you contacted them? It's February. Just ask yourself that question. Have I contacted any of my child's teachers without there first being a prompting of there being a problem? Did they have to call me first? Did I send the teacher an email? Did I make a phone call? Because a lot of you are on the internet. So a lot of you are tech savvy enough to make it happen. I don't receive phone calls. I don't receive emails from parents. But I'm with your children all day long. How? How? You have students that flunk all semester. Call home, send loads home. You're nowhere to be found. So I know I'm getting off a tangent here, but it's just been boiling up for a while now, just thinking about my particular community and how we're treating education. And I'm wondering why I'm talking to 17 and 18-year-olds that are about to be full-fledged adults, grown, that have not one clue of what it is to have some sense of self, have no idea what they want to do. They don't aspire to be anything. And it's sad. It is sad, it's disheartening, and sometimes it's overwhelming. It makes you want to step away. I take students to the library. We have book projects that we do. They're independent assignments. We don't really work on them in class because you're going to read. You're going to read, point blank. You're going to read in my class. You know, it's like pulling teeth. And they will literally say out loud, oh, man, I don't read. Man, I hate reading. Oh, man, I can't. Man, I don't read. You expect me to read this at home? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do expect you to read at home. So again, in our households, how many TVs do you have? How many cell phones do you have compared to how many books you have? Do your children see you reading? I know you're tired. I know you're stressed out. I know you have a lot going on. But doggone 15 minutes with a book every day adds up. It adds up. That when they ask you for their cell phone, no, you can't have my cell phone, but you can have this book. Let's sit down and read. Talk about the book. You don't have to be an educator to educate. There is no requirement for a special degree to sit in your home and teach something. And we tell parents all the time, and I tell other teachers all the time. Parents say, "Oh well, man, I don't know how to do these things. You know, I don't deal with that homework because y'all teach it different than what we taught it. Than how I learned it." I'm not asking you to teach. That's my job in regards to curriculum. That's me. What I'm asking you to do is to, when they get home, say, "Hey, where's your homework? Where's your book bag? What you got to do today? Oh, you don't have homework? You do now. Here's a book." That's what we're asking you to do. The tremendous amount of difference it will make if we just do that. You don't have to know Pythagorean theorem. You don't. But you have to be there when you realize your child also does not. And you're picking up a phone. "Hey, my child, they're lost. We pulled out homework last night. I can't help them. I just want to let you know that my child is lost. So I don't know with the grades. I'm looking at the grades. My child is completely lost. What are your tutoring hours? I'm advocating for my child." This is not hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hard. It is not hard concepts to understand. What it takes is effort and consideration for the future. Do not set your child up to fail. You think they're out here obeying? You think they're out here doing being angels? In these hallways, I hear every kind of combination cuss combination you can imagine. And you think they care that we hear them? They don't. They don't care. And you say something to them, you liable to get cussed out too. These are our children. I'm sorry, I know I'm way off on a tangent now, but I just want it to be, what I want to do is call awareness to our home life in regards to education. By the time they get to the high school, guys, they want to say it's never too late, but good God Almighty, we are running out of time to convince them that they need education. They need it. They need some type of education. They may not use a lot of the things specifically that they learn, but the skill sets are important. You may not need to know the plot outline of Romeo and Juliet. But you do need to understand how to synthesize information. You do need to know how to pull out irrelevant context. Like you need to know how to do those things. I don't care what you do, you're going to have to read something. And for your child to be 2, 3, 4 grade levels behind in reading, and you're not advocating, you're not pushing, but they have cell phones and all kind of technology and everything they want to and ask for, that's a problem. Because children are not stupid. They do exactly what they're allowed to do. It's a very, very special child that is able to have the choice between candy and broccoli and pick the broccoli. That's not normal. They're going to pick the candy. So if you give your children the opportunity to play and not focus and do whatever they want to do, or to sit down and focus on some type of educational content, what do you think is going to happen? What would you do at 3, 4, and 5 years old, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10? What would you choose? So my call to action today, after this long rant, so excuse me, my call to action today is to schedule a time. I don't care what the time is, if it's in the morning, it's in the afternoon, or whatever. Schedule a set time for you to read with your children. Read. Just read. Just read. Let's take baby steps. Just read. If it's for 15 minutes, start instilling at them that, oh wait, we make time for this. This is something that we do. This is normal. We read. We read. We read. It is part of our culture. We read. It is part of our history. We read. It's a part of our future. That is all I have. Sorry it took so long. I was really planning for like 5 minutes, but clearly didn't work out like that. So if you stayed in tune this whole time, God bless you, brothers and sisters, for sticking with me so long. Happy Black History Month.